Well, what we have here is the beginning of the unboxing of my 36-inch, what I'm going to be using as a grow-out cage. It's from Wynola Farms. I highly recommend these folks. They ship well, the cages are put together well, and they're easy to assemble. Hopefully, during this process here, I'm going to be able to show you how easy it is. And if I don't mess it up too bad, this is my first voiceover, you're going to hear some starting and stopping as I try to figure this out. But this is just me getting the box open. This is my first unboxing, and I keep looking back at the camera to try and figure out, am I still in the photo or not? All right, here we got to get a little bit closer view of what's in the box. I wanted you to see how it comes. They're all put together with the exception of the stand. You have to put the stand together, which is not that hard. I just make it look hard in this video. It's actually pretty easy. So the next section we're going to get into is me actually getting it out of the box. Okay, and now I've got it turned up on its side. I was having some trouble getting the thing out of the box because it is packed in there tight. But I've given you a little bit of a view. It comes with the feeder, and I'll go over some of these things more than once. But what I'm going to have to do now is just tear the box apart to get it out. It is made in the USA. Wynola Farms is a excellent operation, and I bought 2 cages from them so far. I am not an affiliate, so this is not about me making some money by explaining these things to you. All right, I'm actually going to get out of the box here, get it out of the box. I slur my speech. This is me fighting. Obviously, I wasn't set up for all this. And you can tell, you probably can see some frustration in my face as I get closer and closer to getting this bad boy undone. It is so well packed. I can't get the thing out of there. But once I get the sides tore off, it will come out. And I'm leaving the trash over on the side as though I will actually clean it up. But unfortunately for my wife, and fortunately for me, she often comes behind me and helps me finish up what I'm good at starting projects. It's the end and the cleanup that I'm not very good at. Once we get this all done and I finish this video, I'm going to do another short one inside to show you how I set up the inside of the quail barn. I moved some things around. You have seen a previous video. And I'm going to have to show another one after that when I get the watering set up and the lighting, because I've got some unique situation with the lighting. You've got to have light available for these birds when they're laying, or they are not going to lay. So the birds on top will get light, but I've got a double cage. This is a single. I've got a double cage where my breeders are going. So those on the bottom are going to have light somewhat shined into them from across the room. So I've got to figure that out. But here we go. We're getting it out of the box finally. Everything that you need, I believe, is shrink wrapped inside the cage. There's only a few nuts and bolts that are required to put this thing together. I didn't have a great spot to do all this. I was going to do it on my carport, but there was too much junk on the carport, and it was I just thought I'd do it out back here. Looked like it would be a little interesting. For those of you watching and paying attention to the farm, that is the quail and chicken barn out there in the back left. So now I'm looking at it trying to figure out how do I get this thing apart for you. But I'm going to figure it out here. Just bear with me a minute and I'll finally figure out what I'm doing. I'm laying it down and quitting. No, just kidding. But I am getting ready to do another camera move. And here we go. So now I want to show you what the thing looks like. We're looking at the front. I didn't realize I was getting the feed protector when I bought this. And I'll show you that here in a minute. It comes with 2 watering cups. This is 36 inches wide and about 24 inches deep, which is, 6 square feet. About 18 birds should go in this, but this is going to be my grow-out cage, so I can probably get upwards of 25 in there since they're smaller. But somewhere between 18 and 20 would be ideal. and it just depends on how many birds I have at one time as to what I'll put in there. I don't like to overcrowd them. It's not good. Now, what we're looking at here on the top, that is the feed cover, which is a pretty neat thing. Right there you see the red tip on it, and there's also a red tip on the feeder. I'm going to lift it up here in a second. There you go. And you can see that covers the feed. Now, if I had multiple cages, that would be neat. It would help keep some of the debris from above out. It's not absolutely necessary. It was neat that I got it. They didn't, rebill me or add more to it. So I thought that was good. Again, they packed it well. They've got what you're looking at there on the bottom is just the bottom of the tray, the wire tray, 1/2 inch by 1 inch wire. And it is vinyl coated, which is all I'm using now, with the exception of what's in the brooder. And in the brooder, it's homemade, and I'll have paper towels down there for the first 3 to 4 weeks for them. I don't like the birds just walking around on plain galvanized wire. Feeder comes straight off. The legs, they've got stuck inside the bottom there. I mean, they do a good job of packing it all tight so you don't get 2 or 3 different boxes. Now I'm just showing you how the thing worked, the feed cover, which I'd already shown you. This is me wrestling these legs out of there. Now, it's not that difficult. This 36-inch cage, if you look right in the middle, you'll see 2 uprights that are supports. And that made getting the legs out a little more difficult. If you're more mechanically inclined than I am, you would have seen that immediately. But I do eventually get these legs out of here. And this was the toughest part of the entire operation for me, just getting them out. And so I guess it's kind of comical. Fortunately, I had my shirt tucked down, so you didn't have to look at plumber's crack there. So one side of the legs are out, and you'll see some things attached to them. I'll show you those here in a minute. Once I got the first one out, I could see how the second one had to come out, and it was a little easier. So there we go. We've got that. And you can see the extra part that's attached. That's actually going to hold the tray. Now I'm just finishing taking the shrink wrap off the bottom, separating the poop tray from the cage, and I'll show you that here in a second. This is me continuously looking back to make sure I'm still in the camera picture. I wish I had somebody to shoot it, but I don't. So this is the tray. It's pre-bent. It's a nice tray. In the past, I've used oil pans. It is so much, and this is the feeder in my hand. It's so much nicer to have this stuff arrive all put together. And if this is your first time doing quail, I highly recommend you avoid the doing it all yourself. All right, took a quick break there and went and stood back up. This is an old electric wire reel. You can recognize it. But I put the cage up on it so I could show you the cage better. Just to get an overall look at what's going on there. I'm trying to focus this thing in. So we got, and it's hard to see with all this wire, but I'm just using that was the cover for the feed. Showing you everything again. Below you see the egg rollout. Even though I'm using the cage as a grow out, there may be a time when I'm actually using it for egg layers as well. Here's the feeder, just hooks right on. Folks, I've built many cages, used vinyl gutter and all kinds of things in the past. Nothing is as easy as this. That's what it looks like when the feeder cover goes on. I'll show you later on what I put inside these feeders to also help keep from wasting too much feed. But this is just a quick look at how it works. Here's the door. This door is a little different than the door on the other cage I purchased. You can see the little round when I get my camera back up there. I'm trying to figure the door out. That's why it's down there. We get up, there we go. Now I'm going to show you. You just pull that to the side and the door goes in. Another nice thing about these cages, if you're making your own cages, you're typically going to have a lot of rough edge wire, which you'll cut yourself on. These are the watering cups in the back. Those are great. The thing comes already set up with the watering cups, and it's plumbed up the top, ready to go into a 5-gallon barrel. They send a little valve. It's a inner tube valve with the inside part in there missing. So I'm showing you the vinyl cover on the bottom wire, which is so important to help reduce bumble feet. This is the hose on the back. That little valve will pull out. It's just stuck in there. And I think they call it a boiler valve or something. I'm not sure. But it's the same valve used in your tires. Okay, now we're moving on to the legs. They've got the tray supports shrink wrapped on here, and that's what you're looking at there. With my dull blade trying to remove them. And I think I actually do this backwards and then cut it off and come back to do it again afterwards. But as you can see, you pull it out. You just have to be careful. Now it's sheet metal. It's thin, but once it's all together, it's fine. So that will go up and connect to the other side. You'll see the color coordination there. The first cages I bought were doubles, and this color coordination really helped. But you just match the color up with the hole, screw it in. How easy can it get? Okay, I am using my handy-dandy, wore-out, battery-operated rigid there. The batteries are shot. I'm just waiting for them to go on sale again. I've had it for a few years. More than got my money out of the rigid. I like rigid tools. So there's my little plug for Home Depot. Okay, we're going to the other side now. Going to cut it off. I know I'm going into a lot of detail. Probably for some of you, you've already figured it out. I'm doing this mainly for folks who've never done this before, and so this may be of help. Again, we're looking at the color. This side was pink. The other side was pink. It's too obvious, but hey, if you've never done it before, it may not be obvious. You may not know what this is accomplishing. That poop tray is going to slide and hold on those two sides. And they already had the screws, and they actually sent extra screws for this. They don't send extra screws for the bolts rather that hold the cage onto those legs, but just make sure you don't drop any, and you'll be in good shape. So you screw that in, and now we have both sides, and now we're ready to do the back support. And it's at this point I realized I've gone too far. I'm going to go ahead and leave this in here because I got ahead of myself. The typical male, I did not read the instructions and forgot what I had done just a few weeks previously because I'm an old man and that happens. But this tube will slide into the other one. There's set screws in there to hold it. And I'm going to go ahead and stop this at this point so you don't have to go through all this. All right, what was supposed to happen before you put the back strap on is you attach the side legs to the side of the cage. And once I realized what I was doing wrong, it all became obvious. There is a little USA decal in there, which I will put on my cage before it's over. No one's going to see it but me, but hey, they sent it. It's made in the USA, so few things are. So you've got these threaded screws. These things go in easy. Now you're going to have to reach inside the cage to get the back on. And you'll see how it works. There's 3 holes in the top. You've got quite a bit of flexibility to line them up. Make sure the tray holder is towards the inside. It's kind of hard to screw that up, but just in case. And you go ahead, put them on any way you want. I can't remember which one I started with. Yeah, you need to be outside the leg. You can see me moving outside there. And I went ahead with the closest one so I could take some of the pressure off myself holding it. So opened up the door, put the screw in, come in underneath. They thread easily. And just get it threaded all the way up so that leg will hold. You don't want to tighten anything down at this point yet. And you can see I am struggling to get the screw on, not because it's hard, but because I'm awkward and I'm trying to do this on the video. So I've got that now. I'm going to go ahead and get the next set. And again, you push it in. Now this is the one you're reaching all the way across to get. It might be a little bit more difficult. I'm short. I'm only 5'6", 5'7", whatever I am. And so I don't have long arms. But once you get it started, just flip the thing all the way up. You know how it goes, guys, girls. Trying to put a screw on, you can barely reach it. Once it gets going, it's all good. Now the legs will hold on, and I'll put the third one in the top. And you still got to go inside the cage for this, but this isn't difficult at all, unless, of course, you drop it, and then you have to go find it. Then it's a little bit more difficult. And these slots do give you some freedom of movement, so if you have to adjust the legs a little, you can do that. I didn't find it to be difficult at all. Got those 3 on, then went ahead and I think I tightened it. Let's see. Yes, I was going for my trusty rigid drill. So I didn't super tighten it. I just put it, snugged it so it would hold and wouldn't bend. At this point, you're going to have to flip the cage over to put the other side on. And I didn't get that one nut on there tight enough. So when I went to tighten it, it wasn't doing it. There you go. I wish I could talk to myself instead of doing the voiceover. I could be the voice from God talking to myself. So now we're going to flip it over to put the other side on. We're going to do the exact same thing. Folks, if you've never built one of these cages, of course, I built many, but never as nice as this. You have no idea how much time you're saving by buying these cages with the legs pre-done. All you're doing is putting a few nuts and bolts on, tightening a few screws, and you're done. All of the edges are smooth. All of the wire is smooth. You're not going to worry about gaffing your hands. Now this one I had, it's backwards, so I've got it turned around, but I'm actually going to have to flip the thing again because the screw I just put in, I'm putting in the back one first. Not that that was required. It's just what happened, and so I was going to have to turn it around anyway. So holding it down, going all the way to the back, a little bit easier because that's my left hand. My right hand doesn't stretch as well anymore. But we'll get it started. There we go. Get the thing semi-snugged. And once that happens, it's not going to fall off. So you don't have to use a lot of pressure to hold the leg down. Now, what you'll find is that when you drop it, it's not as much fun. Now I've got to go dig it up. And I did. Again, I'm 67 plus. Doing anything when I got to get down on my knees is no fun. But get that one snugged up. Again, make sure that the flange holding the poop tray is facing the inside. It's pretty obvious. I'll say some things that are pretty much just meant for the total novice who's never done this before. And I'll keep reiterating throughout this video, I am not an affiliate for these folks, though would like to be one day because I love their product. But what you are going to see is that this is just super easy. In a matter of 20 minutes, let's just say a half hour, because you're not shooting a video, it doesn't take that long. You're done. You're ready to put birds in this thing versus hours out there cutting wire, getting scraped and gaffed, and then still not having something that looks as nice or works as nice as this one does. Okay, so I've got the 6 screws tightened down. I'm going to stand the thing up, and now you'll see that back bar that I had tightened before. Well, once the cage is in there, tightening that back bar isn't as difficult as it was trying to put that together and forgetting that you can't slide the cage down with one person doing that. And I'm going to move the camera again because you're not able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so there's 2 set screws on the one side. You only have to loosen the top set screw because you want to be able to pull that bar in pretty tight. You don't want it just barely in there. So I had to mess with it a little to get it to go all the way in because that's the main support for the whole cage. Once you get it in there, the thing is solid. And I was going to use I start with the drill, but it's probably a number 3 as far as the Phillips head size that's in this thing. And I have a 2, I believe, in my, and I dropped the set screw. So I'm going to get my screwdriver, my hand screwdriver, which has got a bigger head in it, for tightening this little screw up. But again, you definitely want to, you see me pulling it tighter. I noticed it wasn't all the way in. This is one of the more important things of the few things that you have to do. Get that all the way in. Now I'm going to try to get it, I'll get it set with the screwdriver, and then I'll get my hand screwdriver out of the bag over there and finish putting some tension on it. My porch is not level, so I didn't want to use it as the leveler to determine whether I was level or not. There's nothing level on this farm, so it really doesn't matter. All right, so we got that. I went over those little bolts in the back are a little loose, but that wasn't an issue. You don't have a nut on the other side, so I really don't see where you tighten those. And maybe you can, but it didn't appear to me that you could. So that is it for the basic installation of the cage. Now I think we're moving on to the next section where I show you slide the tray in, the poop tray. Just goes in, goes all the way to the back. It's a piece of cake. And as I show you how everything is set up as we go through and I move birds around, I'll show you how all that works. The feeder will just slide on there, down into place. It's already preset the right height. The thing got bent on the front. When I put it in the barn, I straightened that out with a pair of pliers. It was the cage wire is too tough to bend by hand, at least for me. So I used pliers to straighten it out when I got inside. Pull the thing over, and that, my friends, is it. This is just a brief showing of what it looks like without my hands all in the way. Looking at it underneath, you'll catch a ton of poop. Coturnix quail poop their brains out. That's the feed protector again. The egg rollout cage is great. They've got the edges protected on that. Doors go open. You can reach all the way to the back to keep the cup cleaned. There's 2 cups for these birds. That will be sufficient. There's a 5-gallon waterer that I'll show you later on after I get it all set up, how I'm doing it. And that, let me see, I'm going to show you. Okay, clipping it on the outside. Do I do anything else here? Nope, I'm going to pull it down, and we're going to call it a day, folks.